very good Sunday morning to you, Grenada, and of course the rest of the world on this, the 7th day of October 2018. Folks, kind of cloudy out there this morning, but nevertheless, I certainly hope it's nice and warm on the inside wherever you happen to be. I imagine for those of you out there in North America, temperatures are starting to come down, but at the same time, you are being graced with the beauty of creation. Beautiful, beautiful autumn colors. Nice of you to join us this morning. I see a number of people out there already on the shout box this morning, and I certainly hope that they're going to start popping up pretty soon on Facebook as well. Taking a look here while it refreshes. Let's take a look at what's cooking here this morning. A busy morning as usual. Busy morning here. First of all, let me welcome those of you who are on Grenada Broadcast. Thanks for joining us. And also those of you on Facebook. And after the program this afternoon, we don't broadcast live at the moment on YouTube, but later on this afternoon, the program will be up on YouTube, okay? In the meantime, you can watch and listen on Facebook. You can watch and listen on GrenadaBroadcast.com. You can also listen on TuneIn, Radio Genre, and Radio Garden. All right? Those are the 6 platforms where you will find us on this Sunday morning. Now, let's get right into the buzz. We'll start with a reading from the Holy Scriptures. You go no place without that. Lots of stuff in the feedback section this morning. And then we move into our editorials. Yes, sirree. We only have 2 editorials this morning, but we do have a commentary as well from Little Angel. The editorials today are from the New Today, and that is captioned, Betrayal of the Masses. That's going to be our final editorial. The first one, though, is from the Grenadian Voice, and that one is captioned, Callous Actions Sometimes Hurt More Than You Know. Yeah? Check it out. So those are the 2 editorials this morning. As far as interviews are concerned, we do have 1 interview per se this morning. It's something we were actually hoping to do last Sunday, but remember, one of our guests was a little bit incapacitated and therefore was not able to join us. However, spoke to him yesterday, and he said he's going to be here with us this morning, and I am referring to Mr. Leon Taylor. He's a former architect of the Grenadian's environment. You know, many years ago when they were trying to decide which way Grenadian should go and so on and so forth. He was one of the key people involved in that process. And he's going to be joined by a gentleman who did join us last week, Mr. Randall Robinson, who's the lead advocate in the campaign to save Grenadian's Beach. Did you see his video on Facebook this week? You know, for anybody who had any doubts about whether or not the high water mark had been violated down at Grenadian's, I think that one should have cleared up all doubt. I'm sure it's still up on his page, which I think is Randall Robinson. Yeah, check it out. Check it out. Anyhow, the caption for their interview here on the website this morning is, will government ever listen to experts, let alone the people? Huh? That's a very probing question, my friends. We're going to try and answer that a little later on this morning. Then we move on to our main feature. For those of you who have been following our daily broadcast, Good Day Grenada, 9 o'clock weekday mornings, you've probably heard quite a bit about the brouhaha surrounding statements made by Prime Minister Mitchell in New York almost a couple of weeks ago now, actually. And today we do have the president of the Public Workers Union, young lady by the name of Rachel Roberts. She's coming in here to react to those utterances. And I'm going to put my neck on the line. She said she was also going to try and get either a doctor or a nurse to join her. And so we'll wait and see which she got. Maybe both. Okay? So Rachel should be here at about 11 o'clock this morning. So there you have it. Busy, busy, busy morning. And taking a look over here, quick glance, I see that Chester is already on Facebook. Hello, Chester. Good morning, by the way. Let me also take a look here on Rumble Chat before we go to our first break. On Rumble Chat this morning, Jimmy said, you know, this morning I received a, what was it? I think it might have been, yeah, some indication that Javon was up really early this morning. So I said, geez, you're up early. Well, he has responded here saying on Rumble Chat, good morning, George, and God's blessings and peace be upon you. Thank you, my dear friend. I really, really need that. And then he goes on to say, yes, I've been up since 5 a.m. doing my devotions and thanking God for his mercies. October is my Grenada time. Well, Jebby, I certainly hope you find some time to visit. That'd be nice. He comes down here almost every year. And yes, on a number of occasions, he has stopped in to see me. And so I'm looking forward to your visit this year, Javon. October, let's see, today's the 7th. So you still have a few days left. Then also on Rumble Chat this morning, let's see here. We Will Rise says, good morning, George and all. Happy to be here. Rumble Chat. As always, we are extremely happy to have you with us. Anthea out there in Decatur says, good morning, George and all. I will have to play catch up today. Duty calls. So much seems to be happening. Most disheartening to me. Our insensitive PM. May God help us in Grenada. Girl, you're not the only one praying. A lot of people are praying nowadays, and that's good. That's good. Chester is here, there, and everywhere. He's on Facebook. He's on Rumble Chat. He says, good morning, all. Greetings from a sunny, do I have to pronounce this? Niederhasli? Niederhasli. That's someplace in Switzerland. That's where he makes his abode. And he's wishing all a blessed Sunday. Looking forward to an exciting Sunday morning with SWGG. And boy, are we looking forward to an exciting Sunday morning as well. Then, hey, Dennis. Good to see you, Dennis. Christine and Dennis out there in Wanstead, England. He says, George, good morning and morning to the class. It's a lovely morning here, looking out over excuse me. I forgot. Dennis is not in what? Have you moved permanently now, Dennis? He's in Turtle Bay out there in Carriacou. Yeah, man. Oh, Dennis, as soon as I can afford it, I'm going to hop on a boat or plane. Maybe the boat. Come on up there, pay you a visit. I'd love to meet both you and Christine. These guys have been with us for years, religiously. And it's always such a pleasure to say good morning to them. Thanks, guys. God bless you. Now, Kipling says, good morning, Mr. Grant, Mr. Chester and class. God's blessings to all. I support the P when he said some people are incompetent and thieving. I'm sure he was mainly thinking of the last two letters of the word sun. Okay, you go figure that one out, Grenada. Thanks a lot, Kipling. Good morning to you. So, my dear friends, let me fire up our first little commercial here this morning. Take a little break, and then we'll come on back and get started with today's edition of The Buzz.
So babe, Alberto and Beryl come and gone, right? So that means we still have Chris, Debbie, Florence, Michael, Patty, Sarah.
From the looks of it, Tony and Valerie might be coming as well. So we need to pick up some extra hurricane supplies.
You don't know how many hurricanes will be coming this season, so you need to be prepared. At Hubbard's Hardware and Building Supply Departments and the Food Fair supermarkets, everything from canned foods, flashlights and batteries, to plywood, tarpaulin, lanterns, roof repair kits, water tanks, etc. are available. For over 90 years, we've helped you prepare for and recover from storms. Hubbard's is an integral part of your hurricane preparedness plan. Get discounts when using credit and debit cards.
Grenada Market has now introduced Prime products to online shoppers in the UK via amazon.co.uk. Zebrapick, Nutmed, Wabande and Mobiback are now available, with more products being added gradually. These products are shipped across the UK and Europe free of charge for Amazon Prime members and backed by Amazon's reputable customer service. Avoid international shipping. Buy in your local area. Amazon.com in the USA, Amazon.ca in Canada, and Amazon.co.uk in UK and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
It's good to be early. It's good to be early. Pay your GRENADA bill on time.
Well, folks, we are back. It's now, let's see here, 9:14. And I'm sure that many of you have noticed that when we started this morning, we got off to a pretty darn good start on Facebook. Now that the program is underway, I see that, I suspect that we're still on Facebook, but for some reason, there seems to be a lot of buffering now. Okay, it happens all the time. You know, I don't have to explain to you. But on the box, excuse me, on Facebook, I do see Kathleen Thomas is saying good morning from a cloudy Toronto. Bernard Gilbert is saying good morning to everyone and sending a big yellow heart. Don't know where he is, but nice to have you on board, Bernard. Then Anthony DeRigg says, good morning, George. In sorrow with the people of Haiti this morning. Yeah, I took a look a little while ago and noticed that there was a 5.9, the way they put it here on one of the stories I see here on Google, a 5.9 tremblor, T-L-E-M-B-L-O-R. I think they mean a 5.9 tremor in Haiti this morning. Injuries, damages reported in Haiti after powerful 5.9. 5.9? I mean, it's nothing to shake a stick at, but that's not really a biggie. But then another one, Fox News is saying that at least 11 persons have died following that quake, which gave rise to panic. Huh? Poor Haiti. Poor Haiti. God help them. Okay, now let's get into this week's edition of The Buzz, okay? And hope that the internet will behave. That's all I can say. We're going to talk a little bit about the internet in just a wee bit anyway. All right. Now, our opening scripture this morning. I prayed to the Lord my God and confessed, Lord, the great and awesome God who keeps his covenant of love with those who love him and keep his commandments, we have sinned and done wrong. We have been wicked and have rebelled. We have turned away from your commands and laws. We have not listened to your servants, the prophets, who spoke in your name to our kings, our princes, and our ancestors, and to all the people of the land. Lord, you are righteous, but this day we are covered with shame, the people of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and all of Israel, both near and far, in all the countries where you have scattered us, because of our unfaithfulness to you. We and our kings, our princes, and our ancestors are covered with shame, because we have sinned against you. The Lord our God is merciful and forgiving, even though we have rebelled against him. We have not obeyed the Lord our God or kept the laws he gave to us through his servants, the prophets. All of Israel has transgressed your law and turned away, refusing to obey you. That reading, folks, came to you from Daniel. Daniel chapter 9, verses 4 to 11. Okay, go back, check it out later on today in your spare time. Now we turn to the feedback section. I received an email sometime this past week which says that an article appearing on Grenada Broadcast this past week should remind us, Grenadians, that we are not alone in the struggle for beach access. Let us be relentless in our current struggle pertaining to the Silver Sands War. We should also be concerned about the Petit Trou Beach in St. David, the beaches at Calavani Island, and all of our other beaches, which the investors may want to call their own. There are no private beaches in the state of Grenada, as they belong to the people of our beautiful islands. Our beaches are for everyone. Signed, VT. Thank you, VT. Then we move on to this week's contribution from Little Angel. Not many people care about the things they say, and as a result, they do not understand what it is to take responsibility for their words. When individuals talk, they should know what to say, where, and when to say, in order to avoid mentioning anything that is demeaning. It is said that when people talk about others, they are really talking about themselves. It is unbecoming of any leader to speak ill about people. On more than one occasion, inappropriate remarks from those who are expected to lead have been made to the Grenadian people. A statement made in the past with reference to the Chinese gazebos in Grenada was one example of and more recently, some of what was said at a town hall meeting in New York. Both persons who spoke on those occasions ought to have known better and should have been more discreet. They ought to have demonstrated respect for themselves, others, and the office they hold. They should have also guarded against pointing fingers and blaming others when they may be the ones who were most likely to be blamed. Talking ill about others in their absence is unfair, as it does not give them the opportunity to defend themselves. Basic respect for the individual will not allow anyone to say what can be unacceptable about someone else. There is talk and talk. Knowing the difference is important. Signed, Little Angel. Thank you, Little Angel. Then we move on to something that made news this week. We've had a Chinese hospital ship here for the past few days, and let me fire this up because I want you to take a look for those of you who have not seen it. China's PLA Navy hospital ship, the Ark Peace, has visited Grenada for a second time within 3 years. And if I'm not mistaken, she will be departing today. The Ark Peace has been providing consultations and treatment for Grenadians, including auxiliary examinations such as CT scans, ultrasound, ECGs, and a whole lot more. Now, let's take a look here. See here? In an address to mark the 69th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China and welcome to the peace, Ambassador Dr. Zhao Yangchang said that the bilateral relations between China and Grenada have been further consolidated with increasing exchanges on high-level visits and satisfactory economic cooperation. The upgrading of the Maurice Bishop International Airport is making steady progress. And the second phase of the low-income housing project, which will serve as implemented as planned. Just 2 weeks ago, the two governments signed a memorandum of understanding on joint construction. Yes, let me read that again. Just 2 weeks ago, the two governments signed the Memorandum of Understanding on joint construction of the Belt and Road Initiative, with Grenada officially joining in the family of Belt and Road Initiatives. They will carry out closer cooperation under the framework and comprehensively enhance the level of practical cooperation in various fields. He also went on to say that China is willing to share the successful experience of China's development and help Grenada to formulate a strategic plan for national, economic, and social development. The Chinese people are delighted to see Grenada playing a more constructive role in the Latin American and Caribbean regional affairs, to make due contribution to the formulation of a new international order. They are ready to work closely with the government and people of Grenada to build a community with a shared future of mankind, move towards a new type of international relations, and build an open, inclusive, clean, and beautiful world that enjoys lasting peace, universal security, and common prosperity. Okay? That's a quote, or a couple of quotes, from the address by the Chinese ambassador to welcome the Archbeast here this past week. Now, it is, let's see here, 26 minutes after the hour. And I see that, let me quick glance here on the shout box. Oh, Kipling, nice job, Kipling. Kipling says the word some simply means some others besides me. Okay. Peter Bishop is saying good morning to you, George, and the rest of the class from Brooklyn, New York. Good to see you out there, Pedro. Tessa is saying good morning all, wishing everyone a blessed Sunday. And once again, congratulations, Tessa, on your doctorate. Jackie is also saying good morning. Nice of you guys to join us this morning. And Jeannie Pascal on Facebook says, I understand it's a 5.9 quake that hit Haiti. Yes, yes, Jeannie, it is 5.9. I glanced at 3 reports on Google there, and yeah, 5.9. And like I said, you know, when you consider that we had a 7.4 here a couple of weeks ago, yeah, 5.9's bad, but it really isn't compared to what we felt here. I guess that it's just that the state of the buildings in Haiti just don't live up to the standards. We complain about our standards, but I guess we need to be thankful. We need to be thankful. Apparently, our buildings may just be better than the people in Haiti. Folks, I'm going to do something that's really, really hard for me to do, really, really hard. But I was talking to a friend this past week, and he said, George, you got to do it. You got to do it. Folks, almost every Sunday morning, I have to sit here and apologize to you for the quality of the broadcast in terms of its delivery to you because of the internet. Okay? Even right now, as I speak to you, if you keep seeing me glance off to the left here, it's because I'm looking at my iPad, and when the stream's going fine, there's a little red light. Sorry, excuse me, a little green light that shows up there, and when it's green, everything's hunky-dory. As soon as that bandwidth starts dropping, it goes to yellow. All right? Now, it doesn't mean that we have lost our connection to Facebook, but it means that our feed from here on Woolwich Road is having a hell of a time getting up to Facebook. And that's the reason why you see all the buffering and buffering and buffering that you do. Okay? Sometimes, I mean, when I finish the program here at 12 o'clock, those of you looking at it on Facebook may still be seeing it an hour later because the program is taking so darn long to get up there. I have been told by more than one IT provider that that is because I am using broadband to get to you. Now, for all the years that I've been doing this program, and I think February is going to be the start of our 15th year doing this program, we've been using broadband all the way. But I think what's happening is that with more and more people subscribing to broadband now, the infrastructure is just not able to handle it. Just one day this week, I read on the air on Good Day Grenada a very, very angry complaint by a former senator, Senator Devon Rache, who was complaining bitterly about the speeds that the Grenadian people are getting from their internet providers. So these folks have suggested to me that what I need to do is get a fiber connection, which supposedly will deal with that issue. Okay? So, that's easier said than done. Folks, the truth of the matter is, if I could have afforded it, I would gladly have put in fiber a long, long time ago. Because it hurts to have to say to you every Sunday, not just Sunday mornings, it happens through our programs with MECRE Chat and Good Day Grenada and Law Made Simple. Well, not so much with Law Made Simple, but all the other programs. It happens. It happens. It hurts to have to do that. And so this morning, I'm going to ask you for help. You're not just going to be helping me. You would be helping to alleviate some of the aggravation that you have to face. When you sit there and see, it's here now, it's not. It's here now, it's not. Stutter, 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 stutter. It's annoying, isn't it? It's annoying. Folks, I found out that to get not ideally, but speeds better than I have right now, it's going to cost a lot more than I'm paying right now. It's going to cost about $450 US. That's about $1,200 in my penny halfpenny currency per month. So, I'm asking you, please, if you can help, to provide us with broadband, you would be a blessing, not just to me, but to yourself and to the nation. And so, now that you're on the GrenadaBroadcast.com website, you take a look at the main menu at the top of that page. You will see the word donate. Folks, it's not a hell of a lot of money. 450 US bucks? Nah, it's not a lot of money. Especially if more than one person helps. You know? In a little while, you're going to hear me read the list of places where you guys are listening all over the States, out there in Europe, in Canada, around the region. Well, spread it around and help us, please. Help us. I've never done this before, but I'm asking you, please, help us. It hurts me to have to sit here and ask you, because I don't like to depend on anybody for anything. You know, I'm one of those people. Well, Okay? I'm asking that you help us to obtain broadband, fiber, rather than us having to depend on the broadband, which take a look yourself. It's still there, yellow, which means that for those of you at home, you're probably saying, you know something? A couple of weeks ago, I ended the program here at 12 o'clock, and I went to lunch at a restaurant at Grenadians, and you know what? While we were having lunch, I used my phone to log on to the site. Would you believe the program was still going on? Huh? That's because I'm using broadband. At least, that's what the providers say. Let's put them to the test. Okay? Good. Now, 24 minutes away from the hour, we're gonna take another little break here, and we'll come on back and get started with editorials. We only have 2 this morning, and my first guest has already arrived. Randall is in my house, and we'll be saying good morning to him in just a wee bit.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Co-op Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank, and there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Welcome home.
Can I have a chicken lunch, please? Large.
Real nice today.
I don't want that.
But you just asked for a chicken lunch.
I don't have problem with the lunch. Afraid the container.
What is the problem with it?
These styrofoam containers, they don't good for the environment. They shorten with life.
What foolishness you telling me? So what you want me to use?
Put my food in this.
Where you get that?
At the food fair, where you could get all biodegradable food boxes and disposable food supplies like cups, plates, anything you could think about. Name it, it's there. And they don't harm the environment. Food fair, taking the lead in cleaning up and protecting the environment. Hey, like you take me advice, you get in your biodegradable food supplies.
Well, girl, I supporting who supporting the environment. That is why I shop in at food fair.
Food fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets. Products distributed by Hubbard's agency, Kirani James Boulevard.
Grenada Market has now introduced the Prime products to online shoppers in the UK via amazon.co.uk. Zebrapick, Nutmeg, Bourbonday and Mobiback are now available, with more products being added gradually. These products are shipped across the UK and Europe free of charge for Amazon Prime members and backed by Amazon's reputable customer service. Avoid international shipping. Buy in your local area. Amazon.com in the USA, Amazon.ca in Canada, and Amazon.co.uk in UK and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
When I own my own business, I'll make my own rules. Actually, all businesses have to follow rules. But I heard that Grenlec changes rates whenever it wants. Don't just listen to everything you hear. You should do your own research. When world fuel prices go up, you pay more. And when they go down, you pay less. So what about the non-fuel rate? Grenlec must apply to government before changing the non-fuel charge, and it has only increased by 3 cents over the last 22 years. How many things can you say that about? You mean, when rates are high, it's not Grenlec making more money? Now you're getting it. It's really the world fuel prices. Grenlec does not make any additional profit from higher fuel prices, and that's a fact. Think about it, son. There are laws and regulations that govern business. Nobody gets to do as they please. Not your business, and certainly not Grenlec.
Grenlec, energizing our Grenada.
Alrighty. righty, folks. I'll tell you what, it's now 20 minutes away from the hour, and I see that we've now been joined by Fitzroy Adams out there on Facebook. He's joining Jeannie Pascal, Anthony DeRiggs, Bernard Gilbert, Kathleen Thomas, Just Simon. Folks, let's get right into our first editorial, which comes to you from the Grenadian Voice. The editorial, which appeared in this past week's edition of the Grenadian Voice, is captioned, "Callous Actions Sometimes Hurt More Than You Know." This week, we focused on some serious examples of being let down and the consequences, with the hope that people who are thinking that they will never be caught will have a change of mind. My teleprompter has taken a hike. Bill Cosby's guilty sentence has sparked reactions from people all over the world. While it brought a great measure of sadness, the message to be learned is whoever or whatever is done in the dark will one day come to light. The sadness most likely stemmed from the fact that in the 1980s, Cosby was the father that any child would have liked to have. As Dr. Heathcliff Huxtable, he surely was the perfect father. No one looked at the fact that he was a very good actor. On the stage of life, he had his bright side. His dark side was so dark that it was never seen until the allegations surfaced and were subsequently proven true in a court of law. In the court of public opinion, everyone felt let down by his callous actions, let down by a man held in such high esteem by both young and old. During the sentencing, according to a CNN report, Cosby sat motionless in a courtroom packed with about 200 people. But this time, it wasn't as the comedian ready to give a good show. A man who once rubbed elbows with some of Hollywood's biggest names only had attorneys and publicists with him in the courtroom. His wife, Camille, who had stood by him throughout both trials, was nowhere to be seen. Neither were his children. Minutes before, a handcuffed Bill Cosby walked out of the courtroom as an 81-year-old convicted sex offender. He changed his gentlemanly look by removing his dark pinstripe blazer and rolled up the sleeves on his white shirt as he prepared to take up his new residence in jail. Judge Stephen O'Neill sentenced Cosby to 3 to 10 years in a state prison for drugging and sexually assaulting Andrea Constand 14 years ago. The sentence means that after 3 years, Cosby would be eligible to be released on parole. If officials deem he has met his requirements in prison and can be released, he will have to attend monthly counseling and report his travels to state police, rules mandated by the judge, who declared that Cosby should be considered a sexually violent predator. By the way, Cosby has been ordered to pay a $25,000 fine. Prosecutors also asked the court to require Cosby to cover the cost of his 2 trials, which added up to about $420,000. While most of us in Grenada have never personally met the man, he certainly was a household name, and it really hurts to see him go down in this old age. In more shocking news, this time from Santiago, Chile, it was revealed that Pope Francis has recently defrocked a once prominent Catholic priest whose case has been at the center of public outrage over clerical sexual abuse. The priest, the Reverend Fernando Caradima, was found guilty of sexual offenses by the Vatican in 2011. However, a Chilean judge found that the allegations against him were truthful and reliable, but dismissed the charges because a 5-year statute of limitations had expired. The defrocking now means that Caradima is no longer a priest, but he can still form a part of the church as a lay member and, for example, take communion. The victim's pain and their abuse at the hands of a previously revered priest can cause irreversible psychological problems, according to psychologists, social workers, and others who counsel victims. Here at home, some years ago, a teacher was found guilty and sent to Her Majesty's prison for sexual abuse against a minor. This is certainly another painful experience, since teachers are considered trustworthy. How distressing it is for the students, and, by extension, any child who knew the teacher, to come to terms with the fact that Sir had let them down. Very often, the focus is on the victims and the perpetrators, but the pain of being let down is felt by many more who suffer in silence. Children have a natural love for their teachers, which can create a measure of closeness and trust. Aren't teachers the ones to keep students on the right track and correct them when they go wrong? It is a bitter pill to swallow when people are let down by role models and people held in high esteem. A coach and another teacher are facing charges of crimes of sexual abuse where they allegedly were part of a gang rape. If they are found guilty, that will be another letdown their students will have to face. This week's editorial takes aim at the conscience of the people who have not yet realized that whatsoever is done in the dark will one day come to light. And like the Shaka Zulu tribe, when one is hurt, the pain affects the entire tribe. Let the stories that we have put forward serve to guide those who are tempted to do wrong, to turn away from actions that can and will lead to more trouble and pain. Rape and other forms of sexual abuse can change the life of a victim for good. It can also take the wrongdoer down a dark and lonely road in the end, since a day of reckoning is coming.
Grenada Market has now introduced the Prime products to online shoppers in the UK via amazon.co.uk. Zeberpick, Nutmeg, Bourbonday and Mobiback are now available, with more products being added gradually. These products are shipped across the UK and Europe free of charge for Amazon Prime members and backed by Amazon's reputable customer service. Avoid international shipping. Buy in your local area. Amazon.com in the USA, Amazon.ca in Canada, and Amazon.co.uk in UK and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Hi, I'm Gloria. My family and I travel all around the world, lighting up homes and businesses just like yours. And lately, we've been hearing a lot of talk about electricity.
Yes. Are my rates the highest in the world?
Your rate is definitely not the highest. Grenadians are paying a similar rate to some islands in the Caribbean, and in some cases, even less.
Grenada, energizing our Grenada.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company, tell your friends, tell your family. We cover householders comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors all risk burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, directors liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you're waiting for.
We are located on Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Tell everybody.
Let us welcome Oswin Lewis. Says good morning everyone watching from St. Vincent. And I see that Ryan has checked in. Ryan, good to see you as well, my dear friend. And folks, I'll tell you what, Ryan, I this morning I played a little piece there which showed the art piece tied up downtown, and I did that because I knew of your curiosity. You were very curious about the art piece, and so I went down and got some footage to show to you, and I hope you were around to watch that. Okay? All right, now let's get ready for our final editorial, which comes to you from the New Today. The editorial, which appeared in this past week's edition of the New Today, is captioned "Betrayal of the Masses." A large cross-section of the people of Grenada are now up in arms against Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell following controversial remarks he made at a town hall meeting in Brooklyn, New York on the issue of pilfering at the nation's General Hospital. The New Today is not in a position to confirm the extent of the level of stealing at the hospital in the absence of any credible information from the Royal Grenada Police Force. There is absolutely no information currently in the public domain as it relates to arrest and charges laid against anyone for engaging in criminal activities like the theft of groceries, including meat, at the nation's premier health facility. As the region's lead Prime Minister on science and technology, it is somewhat strange that after 25 years at the helm of government, Dr. Mitchell has not seen it fit to install cameras at strategic places in our hospital, as many other member states of the Caribbean community are doing. This issue goes to the heart of the type of governance and competence of Prime Minister Mitchell over the years in charge of the nation's ship. However, what is clear to this newspaper is that most of the workers engaged in a certain type of service at the hospital, outside of the nurses and doctors, are generally hired by the government of the day. During the 1960s and 70s, the Grenada United Labour Party government of late Prime Minister Sir Eric Matthew Gary would use the nursing profession to provide employment for supporters, and the same applied during the 1979-1983 Grenada Revolution. If stealing took place during those eras, then fingers could have been pointed at supporters of those regimes for dipping their hands in the cookie jar. The same can apply today to the ruling New National Party of Dr. Keith Mitchell, as its parliamentarians often take advantage of job opportunities for their supporters in every sphere of government business. The Prime Minister has angered many because of the broad brush that he used in New York, which was interpreted by workers on the whole that they were engaged in mass stealing from government at the hospital. The aggrieved parties should only accept the invitation extended to them by Prime Minister Mitchell for a meeting when he issues the demanded public apology in good faith, following his public utterances in New York. The New Today fully understands the sentiments of the Grenadian society at this point in time, but there are more heartbreaking developments to come from Dr. Mitchell and the NNP administration. Another issue that would surely attract public attention is the flip-flop of Dr. Mitchell and the NNP on the attempt by ex-Army Lieutenant Colonel Ewart Headache Lane to get admitted to the Grenada Bar to practice in our law courts. The government had quite rightly challenged the application made by Lane in 2014, when then High Court Judge Justice Margaret Price Finley rejected it on very solid grounds. It should be noted that among the battery of lawyers who joined with Lane in challenging the state was Dr. Lawrence Joseph, who was then in private practice. The matter is currently before the Privy Council in London, and Dr. Joseph is now the acting Attorney General of the country, and the one engaging Lane's lawyers in England on behalf of the government and people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Where is his integrity? Why didn't he allow another lawyer in government service to engage the British lawyers? How can government expect people to have confidence in the Caribbean Court of Justice, given the behavior of the current Attorney General, which points to a clear conflict of interest? As a matter of fact, it is the same Dr. Joseph who is leading the government charge to get the electorate to vote yes in the next month at the referendum to have the CCJ replace the Privy Council as the final appellate court in this jurisdiction. The people of Grenada elected Dr. Mitchell as Prime Minister of the country, and as such, he ought to come clean and explain to the nation the 360-degree turnaround of the government on the Ewart Lane issue. Is he fulfilling some deal that was struck with the RMC elements within the government, like Foreign Affairs Minister Peter David and Chester Humphrey, for helping to destroy the Congress government, and Prime Minister Tillman Thomas to bring him back into power? Is there some secret pact to install Peter David as Prime Minister of the country whenever Dr. Mitchell decides to exit the national arena? The Prime Minister cannot remain silent on a very fundamental issue, given the history of this country and the pain and suffering of our people by the RMC forces. Why would a government which won a victory against Lane at the High Court and Court of Appeal now turn around and choose to lose that same victory at the level of the Privy Council? This cannot make sense to the ordinary man and woman in the country. There must be something more in the mortar than the pestle, as it amounts to a betrayal of the masses. The handling of the Lane matter by Attorney General Dr. Joseph and P.M. Mitchell should serve as enough reason for the electorate to vote resoundingly no on the CCJ issue on referendum day. Can you trust this government on legal matters? This is the all-important question at the moment. Alrighty, folks, that's going to take care of our editorial content on the Sunday morning. And in just a wee bit, we're going to say good morning. I don't know what's happening, but I only see one of the two youngsters here this morning. Randall, faithful as ever. He's here. And on Rumble Chat, Benign says, a blessed good morning, George and all. He's watching from Brooklyn, New York. Jaban says, we have to be careful with judgmentalism, Matthew 7:2. And Lisa McDonald is also checking in on Facebook. Ryan says the Chinese art piece is doing good works in Grenada for more reports. Yeah, that's what I've been hearing, Ryan. Lydia James say good morning, George, and she's locked in from Toronto. And yeah. Folks, I'll tell you what, let's take another little break here, and we'll come on back with Randall.
So, babe, Alberto and Beryl come and gone, right? So that means we still have Chris, Debbie, Florence, Michael, Patty, Sarah.
From the looks of it, Tony and Valerie might be coming as well. So we need to pick up some extra hurricane supplies.
You don't know how many hurricanes will be coming this season, so you need to be prepared. At Hubbard's Hardware and Building Supply Departments and Food Fair Supermarkets, everything from canned foods, flashlights and batteries, to plywood, tarpaulin, lanterns, roof repair kits, water tanks, etc. are available. For over 90 years, we've helped you prepare for and recover from storms. Hubbard's is an integral part of your hurricane preparedness plan. Get discounts when using credit and debit cards.
It's good to be early. It's good to be early. Pay your GRENADA bill on time.
Grenada Market has now introduced the Prime products to online shoppers in the UK via amazon.co.uk. Zeberpick, Nutmeg, Bourbonday and Mobiback are now available, with more products being added gradually. These products are shipped across the UK and Europe free of charge for Amazon Prime members and backed by Amazon's reputable customer service. Avoid international shipping. Buy in your local area. Amazon.com in the USA, Amazon.ca in Canada, and Amazon.co.uk in UK and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Co-op Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank, and there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Welcome home.
Alrighty, folks, there he is, Mr. Randall Robinson. Why don't you say good morning to everybody? They are delighted that you're here, and I'm a little bit curious. We'll talk about that in a minute, but first of all, say good morning.
Well, good morning to you, George, and to everybody who is viewing and listening wherever you are. It's a nice day in Grenada today.
Yeah, bring the mic a little closer to your mouth. Just bring the mic a little closer to your mouth.
Is this better?
Yeah, a little bit.
Supposed to have a singer's voice, you know. the voice out. But yeah, it's really a lovely day in Grenada today, and you know, we're here with you, and let's get the show on the road, as they say.
You know, I'm a little bit puzzled because we were supposed to be joined last week by Leon.
Yes.
And Leon said that he was a little bit under the weather, but promised us faithfully that he'd be here this morning.
Yes.
And so yesterday I spoke to Leon, and he promised me that he would be here. Where you there, boy?
I don't know. Perhaps on the way.
Okay, yeah. I'll tell you what, Randall. Let's start by sort of getting a little bit of an update on the status of things down at Silver Sands.
Yes, George, at the moment, we had gotten some legal advice, and myself as a regular citizen, or you or anybody, cannot, given our laws, bring an action just as a regular citizen. So you have to do it as an NGO with the necessary professionals and so on board. So we are in the process of registering such a body, and so that some sort of action can be taken, because we do believe that what is happening down on the beach there is certainly illegal, and somebody has to answer for it, George. So this is the direction that we're going in. So people have not, we're going in that direction, and so we haven't been in the news as much this week, but certainly that should change. That should change rather shortly.
Okay, so it hasn't come to a standstill. You guys are just...
Yes, no. We are doing what it is we have to do. Certainly, it seems Silver Sands is going ahead full-fledged with their activities down there and so on, and the physical planning unit is conspicuously silent on the matter.
Actually, I found out this week that they have actually set the date for the opening December 1st.
Yeah, we heard so as well. They're doing some training now with the staff down there. Let me help you. And right, it's this way.
Oh, by the way, if you see Randall being a helpful little angel here, he's that's because our other guest has arrived, and I am so delighted. I'm so delighted that he is here, Leon Taylor. Leon Taylor. Thank you so much. There's an old saying, better late than never. So let's just take a look at Leon. Hello, Leon. You're not going to hear anything, Leon, except just what Randall and I are saying. And forget about your earpiece. I just need to hear you through the microphone. How are you doing, man?
Well, I'm not hearing what you're saying.
You're not hearing what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're not hearing it in the
Yes.
earpiece, but you're hearing me, aren't you? Yes. Yes.
My hearing isn't the best.
Oh, okay. Well, Leon, let me tell you. First of all, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
For coming. I really appreciate it. And once Randall is through explaining what's been taking place down at Silver Sands or Grandans, I want you to jump in, Leon, because you are somebody who has been involved with the overall development of Grandans, that area, for many, many years. And you have been observing what's going on, and I understand you have sort of made pleas, but you're not being listened to. So just let me finish with Randall here for a minute. Randall.
Yes, George.
I sent you an email overnight. Did you see it this morning?
No, I didn't. Sorry, I didn't.
No, okay. Apparently, Jenny Hostin.
Yes.
What was the situation with her property?
What it appears, George, is from what we are seeing is that the she built something right down to the beach. Yeah, and I think that has been taken over by Sandals now. I'm saying Sandals, by Silver Sands. So, and it would appear that they were using that to say, well, there was some building going on down there first, and that is what they are using to to say there was building down here and we are building on what was there before. Now, I know at least one person and that would be in the person of Mr. Chester Humphrey, had again complained bitterly about what Jenny was allowed to do down there with that property on the beach, because she was the same sort of encroachment that we are talking about now. She did the same thing there without sanction, it seems. And if you look further on to the other property, I believe it's Mr. DeGale's property, they have put up this stone. So this basket work that went up there right on the shoreline, you can see. So as most people have seen in some of the videos that I have done, you've seen the water rushing right up to that stone wall. There's no longer any beachfront for people to walk on and so on, and access to the people from the stones and that area where they used to come down the steps and walk along the beach to go to church or whatever, that has gone away, George. And they are built right up to the front. Now, nobody has said anything about that over the years, but that does not mean that we need to be perpetuating this kind of illegal activity on the beach.
You know, from what I understand here, Jenny says that Jenny's place never built any wall. All walls were built by the Silver Sands development. There was a previous issue with the Grandans Palace building across a right-of-way. Are you
right? Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Years ago, but Jenny's place had nothing to do with that.
Well, I am not too sure about that, George, but certainly if there was some, because if you look at where Jenny's place was, it's right on the beach. It's right there. And now that, we have highlighted this issue, that had come to the fore, and the only person who anybody has any recollection of saying anything about it at that point in time was Chester Humphrey. And his, pleas at the time fell on deaf ears as well. Nobody did anything about it. But it is clear, I mean, it's right there on the beach. Now Silver Sands has taken over that property. So they just, continuing business as usual.
Business as usual. All right, let me get to Leon. Leon, long time ago, you became involved in development in Grandad's.
Yes.
All right. When you sit down and see what is going on down at Silver Sands on Grandad's right now, what goes through your mind?
Well, first of all, let me say that I returned to Grenada in 1985. Okay, I was teaching at the university, and I also had a private practice. I'm a qualified engineer. Right, I was a senior lecturer with tenure, and I came to Grenada, and in my opinion, at that time, Grenada was. I came right after elections were held. So in 1984, I came in 85 because we now had a democratically elected government. And I figured I could function. And I wished to contribute. There was a great spirit at the time of rebuilding and getting Grenada going. U.S. aid and aid was available. Aid seemed to disappear in 2003 or 4. So they had there was no sewage system on Grenada's beach, and there was that drain that still exists that runs from more or less the Riviera right around behind Spice Island, past the police station, and back up in a closed loop. The water table there is very high. Okay, so that drain always has water in it. Okay, and at the time, the hotel and the university were all using septic tanks, and septic tanks have soakaways, and eventually the soakaway was going into the drain. As a result, they had a massive blue-green algae breakout at Spice Island, and you actually used to sink in it. And the OAS asked me if I could advise them on what to do. And I came up with a scheme of artificial wetlands, of trying to retain the water. That is, I built a dam at the outfall so the water in the drain would not go directly into the sea. Pumped from there into 2 or 3 ponds where the police station is that had plants. And in the last pond, when that was full and for a while, we would then pump that water into the sea. So we did some polishing of the water, and the algae abated. Now, the blue-green algae is a bacteria. It's not a seaweed, and it feeds on itself. Okay? So it will disappear if it doesn't keep receiving nutrients.
Ah, okay.
Okay, and the nutrients are sewage water and stuff like that, fertilizers. Okay, and there also was an E. coli infection in the water at that time on Grenada's beach. And the OAS asked me to do a study at Silver Sands. Now, I happened to stay when I came to Grenada in 85 in the Freighter's Cottage. And 3 times a week I would swim from that end down to where the St. George's University is now, and run back up. And there was a beach there. I don't think there was a Palace Hotel there. I don't think Jenny's was there, right? And the beach was one continuous strand. Okay, so I worked with a hydrologist engineer from Barbados. And we looked at Silver Sands, and we designed retention ponds. And the retention ponds, the flow was so large, the retention ponds took up most of the flat area in Silver Sands. And Silver Sands was functioning as to retain the water and with the plants to polish the water, right? Because instead of flowing straight out, the water has to go a tortuous path through the plant roots, and a lot of the nutrients are taken out. That was private property, and nothing was done with the study. Okay, but the sewage scheme was introduced, paid by the Canadians, and all the hotels that existed then were connected, or supposedly connected to the line. Okay. Now, recently, I walk the beach. I go and look at things because I'm an engineer and now retired. I have time. I'm really interested in seeing Grenada develop correctly, the right way. So my interest is technical, okay? And I noticed a hell of a green algae outbreak at Silver Sands. I actually wrote an article on my own on both, at Spice Island, on both Spice Island and Silver Sands. And here's what I saw. Okay?
Randall, you going to read that for us?
Yeah, I could.
Go ahead.
One possible cause is that the drain running behind Spice Land Mall was recently cleaned for a significant for a significant portion of its length. The removal of the vegetation from the drain results in the loss of the ability of this vegetation to remove nutrients from the drain water, and also decreases the retention time of the drain water reaching the outfall, thereby resulting in a higher concentration of nutrients in the outfall discharge. The outfall itself is badly damaged, so that drain water is discharged in the surf zone, where it remains rather than being discharged out to sea, where it has a chance of being dispersed by the nearshore currents. It is also possible that the recently built apartments across the road behind Spiceland Mall may not be connected to the sewage system, and they are using septic tanks, the runoff from which would be nutrient rich and would find access to the drain behind Spiceland Mall, and hence the outfall. So the photo, and he shows a photo here of the green algae, if you could see it, right? The photo above shows the blue-green algae bloom in June 2018 at the Spice Island in outfall. The blue-green algae extends to the end of the beach in the west. It appears to have been subsequently removed from the beach. However, removing the algae from the beach constitutes treating the symptom and not the cause. The immediate steps required to alleviate the problem would be to repair and rebuild and extend, if possible, the outfall. However, to go further, an investigation has to be conducted to determine if all buildings in the area are connected to the sewage system, and the impact of those that are not. All buildings in the area should be connected to the sewage system if they are not. The quality of the water in the storm drain and the seawater has to be determined and monitored, and these measurements must be carried out on a regular basis. Ultimately, the solution for this area is the replacement of the open drain that surrounds the area by a storm sewage system with a proper outfall. Such a system is probably necessary now, and it certainly should be considered before any further development takes place in the area extending from the Riviera site to Journey's End.
Okay.
Right.
So
the green algae at Silver Sands.
Yeah.
Yes.
You want to read it?
Yes, I'll read it. Yeah. So
you read well anyway.
Yes, the blue-green algae bloom at Silver Sands. The Silver Sands site is currently in the advanced stages of development into a 6-star luxury resort, which appears to occupy the entire site, including the original low-lying swampy area, which has been filled and no longer exists. Apparently, an EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment Study, was prepared in advance of construction and recommended that measures were to be designed to clean the storm runoff before it entered the sea. Further, a Grenada news broadcast bulletin titled Silver Stance installs measures to protect the environment, quoted the head of the architectural firm of TVA Consultants as follows: "What we have done is to collect the debris before it gets to the sea. We take care of it ourselves through trash racks in our drains. We have silt traps within our drains so that the water that then goes out, as was seen on the weekend, is clear, and that's indisputable. There is no evidence of retention ponds or silt traps on the construction site when viewed from the main road. What is evident is that the runoff from the extensive catchment area, which once discharged onto the Silver Sand site, is intercepted by a concrete channel that runs along the western boundary of the site to an outfall structure on Grenadian's beach. The statement above by TVA suggests that the trash racks and silt traps are located in the concrete channel. The concrete channel is approximately 4 feet wide and is flush with the existing road level. It is not known how deep the concrete channel is. However, it is filled with broken rock to a depth of 2 feet below the top of the concrete channel. The concrete channel runs to an outfall on the site boundary. This outfall is located on Grenadian's beach, some distance from the sea." It goes on. The outfall structure is partially covered by a 10-foot wide raised wooden platform with steps at either end, presumably to allow pedestrian traffic to cross it. The width of the concrete channel increases to 15 feet, approximately 40 feet from the wooden platform, and ends 15 feet after its end. The crushed rock extends to the end of the widened concrete channel and ends in the sand of the beach. Not knowing the details of the design of the outfall and its concrete channel, perhaps the crushed rock layer is intended to act as a silt trap, and that the runoff flowing in the crushed rock layer will filter through the beach sand. However, this is impractical since the interstices in the
spaces between
them. The spaces in the crushed rock layer are too large to remove fine material, and the runoff reaching the outfall will be silt laden, and the crushed rock layer will eventually be blocked by beach sand and will permanently store runoff on its surface, as seen in the photograph below. And it shows, folks, if you could see this photograph here, and that in some of the videos you would have seen that raised platform that he spoke about, right at the end there, George. When you get to the beach, you could climb over it, what people used to call a stinky drain and so. The effective depth of the concrete channel in periods of heavy rains and storms, or for that matter when it conducts water, is therefore restricted to a depth of 2 feet. That is the distance from the top of the concrete channel to the surface of the crushed rock. As a result, other than having trash and other debris removed, the discharge from the outfall will consist of untreated water with a high nutrient level capable of promoting the formation of blue-green algae bloom. This water will be discharged directly on the beach, eroding it before reaching the sea. Confirmation of the above is to be found in the photograph below, which shows the outfall discharge in June 2018, coincident with the first appearance of the blue-green algae in the sea at Silver Sands. Discharged water in the photograph below are certainly not clear and no doubt polluted. And that's this other photograph that we have here. And if you were following in the videos, the early videos in September, you would have seen the same thing shown there. So all of this is Silver Sand. So let's just let me finish the right. Again, we see another photograph of this is the...
Just bring it a little closer.
Yeah. Another photograph there showing how the water is just going straight out to the sea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So, given the above, not only is the Silver Sands outfall capable of polluting the sea, it is incapable of handling the runoff from its catchment area. When rainstorms or periods of high rainfall occur, The outfall is breached and silt-laden runoff flows unimpeded across the beach and into the sea, creating a plume that extends far out to sea, as shown in the photographs below taken after a period of heavy rainfall in November 2015. The outfall and measures taken to treat the runoff at Silver Sands have failed. The concrete channel and its outfall with its crushed rock layer are nothing short of an environmental disaster. The water that remains in the crushed rock layer will become stagnant, promoting the growth of bacteria and algae, and poses a health hazard. And these pictures show what happened in 2015, even when we had the natural silt trap there.
Okay.
Yes. So, and the ends. The extensive silt-laden plume created after storm seen in the photographs above not only destroys the beach and pollutes the sea, but it will destroy the offshore coral reefs if they still exist. Most importantly, the outfall on the beach and its unsuccessful efforts to clean the runoff from the catchment area threaten the successful operation of the Silver Sands Resort with its intended 6-star rating. The solution to the problem at Silver Sands is both difficult and expensive. The site is surrounded by occupied private properties, providing no opportunity to locate retention ponds. The only immediate practical solution seems to be the creation of a storm sewage system, but this requires a significant amount of detailed study and design at expense. Nevertheless, the quality of the seawater in front of the outfall and the Silver Sands Resort must be monitored as soon as possible to determine what dangers to swimmers exist. Perhaps the blue-green algae blooms that now threatens Grenada's beach, the island's greatest environmental asset, is a lesson to be embraced. That is, the provision of proper infrastructure must come before investment occurs. Grenada's beach is in dire need of a stormwater sewage system before further investment of any significance can successfully occur without causing damage to the environment. There is also need for the creation of a master plan for the area, incorporating not only stormwater disposal, but sewage treatment and transportation access. And this was done by Leon Taylor on June 25th, 2018.
Leon, you used some pretty harsh words there.
No.
I just spoke the truth. I'm a technical person.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
But some may see them as harsh, and I think it's because you're very serious about preserving our environment.
Yes.
Okay. Has anybody been listening, Leon?
Well, I did send a copy before I left. I went away for 6 weeks to the press secretary of
the Prime Minister?
Of the Prime Minister, and asked her to read it, and if she thought it was merit, that she should let him read it, because I think he is going to have a political problem on his hands, right? That needs to be addressed. So I did. I never got word of a receipt or whether the Prime Minister has it. It is my intention to give that. I did all this work myself. I've not been paid for it, just out of my interest in the country, in the island, and I plan to give it to planning and tell them if they find any value in it, they should use it. Right?
You're hopeful? Are you hopeful?
Well, I can only try. You know, I think we should not condemn our institutions. We should try and strengthen them, because they have a vital role to play.
When you say our institutions, are you referring to the Department of Physical Planning?
Yes, there is one, Ministry of Works. We don't have a proper resurfacing plant on the island to maintain our roads. Our roads are really not intended for the traffic. We don't have any arterial roads, on-street parking, and there's been such an increase in vehicles. My fair, really, is that Grenada has reached a tipping point. Okay? In that if something is not done about infrastructure, right, that we are going to see a deterioration, which is already happening in the quality of life. When you have to spend 45 minutes to get to the airport from Wall Street, that's affecting the quality of your life. And in the past, right, aid used to step in. The big countries gave Grenada aid. I think there was a backlash for that because the taxpayers in those countries said, why are you taking our money and giving to these countries when things need fixing in our own country? However, it seems that the big countries now have found a way to channel money. I look at it that way anyway. To challenge money to places like Grenada through what they call the Climate Resilience Fund, right? And that ought to be tapped. But you know, you need, because a lot of people, tapped by the government, by local institutions here, because a lot of companies external are looking at this as a source of revenue and profits for them, and they get involved, want to get jumped the gun. They've been looking at this since, I think, 2004. There's some accord. And Grenada has been signaled, but climate resilience essentially means the ability for your infrastructure or your society to rebound from a event caused by climate or any other thing, right? So you have to have the infrastructure there. And I have another article in preparation. It's quite extensive. China, for example, spends something like 9% of its GDP on infrastructure, and it broke from the IMF to be able to do this. And that is what has contributed greatly to China's advancement, economic advancement. It was followed by Singapore and I think South Korea and some other countries in the East that heavy in, whereas in this part of the world, like the States and Europe, they spend between 2 and 4% of their GDP. Okay, so one of the things that worries me in Grenada is that there's a institution called the Transparency International that does corruption perception index, and Grenada is at the bottom of the list of that's being corrupt. Now, I've never come face to face with corrupt in all my years of dealing corruption, right? But they recommend that if you wish to remove corruption, you need whistleblowers, right? And they even suggest you should protect and reward whistleblowers. However, in Grenada, a whistleblower is seen to be a political opponent, and that's bad. So people, like I can articulate myself technically. A lot of people that see problems cannot do so, right? And the only way to be heard if they say something is wrong is really to jump on a political, make it political, or the government will say, it's like the emperor's clothes, new clothes, right? Where he was naked and nobody dare say you're naked because the head will get cut off, right? So that is my feeling, is that There isn't much you're going to do. Yes, from Jenny's place, I know, even before Silver Sands, the project, I think the planning had issued a notice to them that they were going to destroy and restore the setback.
Say that again?
The people that occupied, I think it was the architect Johnson, what's his name, Keith, or something like that, Johnson. He ran a restaurant there, right? And he told me that planning had issued notices that not him, but those structures there were intruding, and they planning would knock it down. They never went through with it.
Planning would take it down, but they never did.
Yes, and they never did. They never did.
You know, the Division of Planning has come under an awful lot of fire. Forget about this particular issue, but over the years, Randall, you know that this is not something that just happened. They've been under fire for a long time.
Yes, but you see, you know, George, we don't understand why the law is not being complied with, why the law is not being obeyed, and why physical planning does not use its authority to cause illegal structures to be demolished. There are some famous instances, like, you know, Mr. Peters' building in town when he was going an extra floor up and so on, and he had to take it down, and everybody knew about that. We're now hearing from Mr. Taylor what took place on Grandad's Beach. We've been asking this question about so we now understand what took place by Jenny and by Mr. D. Gale, and so they were issued orders. Nothing is being done about it. And now we have, adding to the whole thing, Silver Sands. So if those other two were considered to be breaches and people have received notices, how then is it even possible for you to approve something like Silver Sands? I mean, how is it possible?
Here's a question for everybody. Has the planning ever approved Silver Sands? Right? Have they ever been asked to put their stamp on it?
But even if
before you condemn them too much, you have to, that's a question you have to ask. Maybe their hands are tied. I don't know. Right?
Yeah.
But you see, my feeling is that it's very hard for a small country to deal with billionaires.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Because they have the financial resources to do what they want. For example, I know the airport has a big issue with sandals and the new 30-something rooms that they built there. I understand I don't know if that's going to affect, it could affect the classification of the runway, and it could run into trouble. But they have just done as they feel.
I have not heard of the issue, but could you be referring to possibly the size of the structures and its proximity to the runway?
No, there are international rules, and which I know because I built the source, that the closest that a fixed obstruction can be, like a building, is 750 feet from the center line of the runway.
That's the point I'm making, because of the proximity of the buildings to the runway.
And those buildings are within 550 feet.
Well, just wait until the FAA finds that out.
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's. I think the lady down there is pulling her hair out, the manager of the airport authority, because it was done without. I was required, when I was doing a development, to get an EIA because it was next to the runway. And so I know that. it was submitted to them, and it took me 4 years to get planning permission. Right? Whereas people seem to start and have designs and they start building right away. They get some sanctions, some more. Now I know the country needs jobs and stuff like that, but you know, you could, when things are done wrong, they have a lasting effect.
Digging us into a deeper hole.
Yes. So I think it's probably a good project, but it's the drainage problem should have been, everybody was aware of it. Everybody was aware of the function of civil sands before the swamp there and what it did do. As a matter of fact, the one spot where the water was showing that it was contaminated was where I just glanced at the EIA, and they took about 3 water samples. One was right where the water was coming out of the original silver sands area, indicating the water in there is polluted. Right? So.
Yes, gentlemen.
So what's to be done? Big bucks have to be spent. You have to put a sewer in. Yeah, it's just, they're going to go look for money for that. Because you're not going to knock the hotel down. You know?
You know, finding the big bucks is one thing, but something that could be done to avoid finding ourselves in these predicaments is if we are not so hungry for the handouts that these folks come to us with. You know, the foreign investors. They have the money.
Yeah.
And they know that we jump on an airplane every Monday morning with a hat and we go around the world, gimme, 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 gimme. So they see us as gullible, vulnerable.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's they don't have the restrictions. They don't have all the permits to get that they do in their own countries. I know an architect, the architect that did La Source, he stopped practicing in Florida because just to put up a barbecue outside of a hotel in the yard someplace, a permit was required from the fire department. Every single little thing. So he said, I can't work under this situation. Not that he did anything bad. He was a very good architect. He's done some beautiful hotels, but he didn't have the bureaucracy of the permits. Right?
You know, what is even more bothersome is that the people, the so-called foreign investors, know that they can't get away with these things in their own territories, but you would want to come out here and to do it. You know, it really is, it's frustrating for those of us, and you know, this is no condemnation of the project at all. We need the projects, we need them, but obey the law.
Yeah. Bottom line.
Obey the law.
Well, let me just ask you a simple question. If there were no police, you think people will drive on the left-hand side? What?
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. I'll tell you what, gentlemen. I need to take a little break here and pay some bills. I don't want to fall into that category, if you understand what I mean. You know. So, first of all, there's a comment on the shout box from Sir Merrill. I don't know, Mr. Taylor, whether or not you know anyone by the name of Sir Merrill, but he says, referring to you, a real man, a Grenadian icon, Mr. Leon Taylor, speaking softly, firmly, and factually. Continue speaking, Mr. Leon Taylor. We thank you.
Well,
so says Merrill.
I thank him for that. I appreciate that.
And I'm going to give you a chance to say some more after we take our break. There's also somebody by the name of Lawrence Kruthoff, Kruythof. I think that's the way you pronounce it. He's saying, "Good morning, gentleman. I'm watching and listening." Dolores Hazard is there. She's there along with Andrea St. B. has also joined us on Facebook. Ryan Jaban and Cecilia John and Lisa McDonald and Lydia James and John Kennison or Kennison, Fitzroy Adams, Jeannie Pasco, Bernard Gilbert. And folks, just let me say good morning to now these are the folks on Facebook, but there are also a lot of other people who are out there on the other platforms we're broadcasting on, such as Grenada Broadcast, they're in Germany, Brooklyn, New York, Manhattan in New York, Midlothian in Virginia, Wilde, Barbados, Virginia Beach in Virginia, Oshawa, Ontario, Mississauga, Ontario, Deelsdorf in Switzerland is with us, Toronto in Canada is with us, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Epsom in England, Meague or Meege, and that's in Switzerland, Maple, Ontario, Las Vegas, Nevada, Buffalo, New York, Scarborough, Ontario, Pompano Beach in Florida, Wilde, Barbados, Etobicoke, Ontario, Richmond Hill, Ontario, Toronto, Walthamstow in England, Richland, Virginia, Ellenwood in Georgia, Kingstown, St. Vincent, Detroit, Michigan, Scarborough, Ontario, Brantford, Ontario, Catford's in England, Fort Mitchell, Kentucky, Port of Spain, Trinidad, Pigot's, Antigua, Barbuda, St. John's, Antigua, Harpenden. You know a place called Harpenden, Leon?
No.
England.
In England?
Yeah. I'm going to ship you off to Harpenden if you don't behave yourself.
Maybe a nice place.
Maybe a nice place, yeah. Elmhurst, I'm sure it is. Thanks for joining us, Harpenden. Elmhurst in New York, Delray Beach in Florida, Tunapuna in Trinidad, Gainesville in Florida, Road Town in the Virgin Islands, Markham, Ontario, Maple, Ontario, Wilde, Barbados, Sudbury-on-Thames, obviously, with a name like that, had to be in England, Roseau, Dominica. Folks, thank you so much for joining us. Now, let me pay some bills here, and we'll come on back with Leon and Randall. Randall.
Grenada Market has now introduced the Prime products to online shoppers in the UK via amazon.co.uk. Zeberpick, Nutmed, Wabande and Mobiback are now available, with more products being added gradually. These products are shipped across the UK and Europe free of charge for Amazon Prime members and backed by Amazon's reputable customer service. Avoid international shipping. Buy in your local area. Amazon.com in the USA, Amazon.ca in Canada, and Amazon.co.uk in UK and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
It's good to be early. It's good to be early. Pay your GRENADA bill on time.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company, tell your friends, tell your family. We cover householders comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors all risk burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, directors liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you're waiting for.
We are located on Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Tell everybody.
Left with Randall. Okay, what's his name? Yeah. Randall? Randall Robinson. And what's the name of the other guy?
Leon Taylor.
Leon Taylor? Yeah, he's just stepped out for a minute, but Leon's going to be back with us in just a wee bit. What's your next step, please, Randall?
Well, the next step is to get our ducks in a row. And as I said, we have spoken to the lawyers, and we are going to be trying to get some answers, because there's nobody to whom we have reached out to tell us about what is taking place down at Silver Sands. We believe it to be an illegal construction, not the whole project, but those villas and so on appear to be illegally constructed. And we need to get some answers from them. The only person who is speaking about this has been the Prime Minister, who has alluded to the fact that there were some breaches down there and they're trying to fix them. Based on everything that we have seen and heard, and I mean what Mr. Taylor has said this morning is more than a revelation. So we know that given what, what has been said, what has been done, and what the law states, that is we're looking at a terrible situation there, and we hope that we can get some serious answers. And this thing impacts all Grenadians, George. It's not just Randall, it's not just Earl or Terry or whoever. It's all of us as Grenadians. And if this, what Mr. Taylor, who is the engineer, has said, and we're really looking at a situation that can destroy, has the potential to destroy the beach if we don't deal with it with alacrity. So this is what we're asking. It would be best, George, if the powers that be, the authority who is responsible for giving permission for these things, will come out and say what they have given permission to, what is not, what changes are to be made, that kind of thing, so that they can give the nation, right, some sort of comfort. We cannot be sitting down here as citizens and just speculating on everything you're seeing wrong before your eyes. And everybody, this thing has galvanized, has people upset across the board, George. Not just here, Grenadians everywhere. Because deep within all of us, there are three things that I believe Grenadians identify with. The first one is Grandad's Beach, right? The second might be Granitang, and the third Annandale Falls, right? These are things that resonate deep within us. And here it is that we have somebody who's not even Grenadian, right? And but I don't want to go there so much, because our people are the ones who are responsible for giving permission for these things to happen, George, right? The gentleman, I heard him speak. He said he was not interested in interfering with the beach. Those were the words that came out of his mouth. Interfering with the beach or interfering with the view to the beach. Yet, everything we have seen about those two things about that project have gone sideways, right? And our planning people cannot give us an answer. And the Prime Minister, who is responsible for the planning, as the line minister, will not give us an answer except to say that there are some minor breaches and they're fixing it and so on. But 500 people going to get jobs and 75 farmers. I mean, George, if you're doing something that is illegal, it does not matter. It does not matter who is benefiting from it or who you're paying and that kind of thing. It is illegal. So all that we are asking, the project, the hotel, I think, is set back where, you know, has a full setback from the beach. These villas that are in front there may be the ones that are those illegal structures on. And we need to hear something. We need to hear something from the planning authority, from the line minister, about what is taking place down on the beach. And now that Mr. Taylor has raised these additional concerns, because we weren't aware of those. I am not the technical person that he is. But that frightens me even more, and I suspect most persons would be very, very concerned.
You know, Randall, that's one of the reasons why it was so important to me that I get Leon to come in here and sit with you, and I really do appreciate that, Leon. I really do, and you can tell from the feedback out there that people do appreciate what you're saying as well. Leon, we only have a couple of minutes left. As you can tell, my my other guests have arrived, and I just want to ask you to do me a favor, Leon. I know you're a very outspoken person, and you tell the truth, so you have nothing to hide, all right? Leon, as you and I sit here right now, there are people in government, there are people in planning, listening. They won't admit it, but I know that they're listening. Because tomorrow morning, they'll be on the phone to all their friends. You hear what Judge Grant say on the radio? Okay? That's the way it works. Leon, do me a favor. As a concerned Grenadian citizen, Randall has been ranting and raving for the last few weeks. I want you, Leon, you have no axe to grind. I want you to look into that camera right there and talk to those government people who are listening. Not because you don't want to see Silver Sands, not because you don't like the government, but Leon, because you are concerned about our country and our future generations. Talk, Leon. Let me hear you.
Well, what I do feel is I'm retired. I have a lot of technical experience and expertise, and it's not tapped. It's just ignored. I don't know why. I gladly assist any government in some of these technical problems, even advising us to what steps they need to take technically, right? There are a number of issues in the country that need addressing, you know. The blue growth or blue economy is something they talk about, but how could you put an outfall on the beach, right, on the sand? I mean, that is a first. There never was a drain there. I don't know, you say there was a stinky drain, but I've never seen a drain there. I've been up and down that beach, right? The technical advice that the investor has received is not good. I almost use the word shocking, but that somebody would do that. I don't know who's responsible, but I doubt if the investor said, go put it there, right? Whoever, that's a technical decision. That's your engineers, architects make that decision. And it was done.
You know, Leon, when I was putting up my rundown on the website for the program this morning to let people know what would be going on here, I had to think of a title for this particular segment. And having sat here and listened to you guys this morning, I am convinced that I made the right decision. I captioned that segment this morning, Will government ever listen to experts, let alone the people? I'm not sure that question has been answered.
Yes.
But what I see here this morning leaves us little hope. But you know what? I'm counting on Grenadians to be feisty. This is your country, and you ain't gonna let nobody whom you paying to serve you take it from you. Can't happen. Can't happen. Thanks a lot, Leon.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, I want to thank that gentleman for his, sir, what was his name?
Sir Merrill. Yeah, excuse me, Sir Mary, S-I-R-M-E-R-R-I-I. Sir Mary. And by the way, he's posted another note. He says, there goes the credentialed Dr. Prime Minister spewing cow pie that the wall on Grandad's Beach was an error. Error? They care not one bit of Grenada and its citizens. So says Sir Mary on the box. Louise Nyack Francois is in England. She says she's listening with keen interest from London. This is another outspoken advocate here in Grenada. And Ryan in Orlando says, money-hungry Grenada, as usual. And that's so true, you know, Leon.
Yes.
We grab every... You just have to wave a dollar. Could be made out of toilet paper. Once you see it wave, you want it.
But it wasn't like that.
It wasn't. I know.
The period 1993 to 2003 was really a landmark. It has not been repeated.
Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Mitchell in 1995 came out with his manifesto. I was very impressed with it, I have to say. I'm not a political party man. I traveled to Seamoon to hear his opening speech. I was impressed. And when I came here, George Brizan met me on Archibald Avenue and welcomed me back, right? And said he's so happy that I'm coming back because they need technical people in the island. My son was with me at the time. He's an engineer too. And I don't get that feeling anymore.
Thanks, Leon. Thank you, Leon. Randall, I've said it to you before. Thank you for the work that you've been doing. You've really helped to open up the eyes of a lot of Grenadians to what's taking place here. And I wish we had a lot more time, but this facility is open to both of you guys anytime you got something on your chest that you want to get off, because I think the public likes hearing from you guys. You're reasonable.
Thank you.
You're reasonable. Yeah. And they recognize that and appreciate it. So we do have some other guests in here, and we have another very pressing issue to discuss. So we're going to get to that in just a wee bit. But let me say thank you. And by the way, Leo Gittins on Facebook says, George, the broadcast is cutting in and out. Well, Leo, I guess you were a little bit late in joining us this morning. But, you know, I spent quite a bit of time this morning explaining to our listeners what was happening, and that's the reason why I reached out and asked you folks to please help. Please help. It drives me crazy to have to sit here on a Sunday morning and apologize to you for the caliber of internet service that we have in this country. We are being raped, literally raped. Please help me to get the fiber that I need. Sorry, Leo Gittins, I'm terribly sorry, but you're not the only one, my dear friend. A lot of people are complaining. Let us take another little break here, and we're going to come back with Rachel Roberts. And listen, I mentioned to you this morning that Rachel would probably be bringing a doctor and a nurse. Well, I think she's found a doctor. She's brought a doctor with her. I haven't a clue who this gentleman is, but we're going to find out in a wee bit.
Grenada Market has now introduced the Prime products to online shoppers in the UK via amazon.co.uk. Zeberpick, Nutmed, Bobanday and Mobiback are now available, with more products being added gradually. These products are shipped across the UK and Europe free of charge for Amazon Prime members and backed by Amazon's reputable customer service. Avoid international shipping. Buy in your local area. Amazon.com in the USA, Amazon.ca in Canada, and Amazon.co.uk in UK and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Can I have a chicken lunch, please? Large.
Real nice today.
I don't want that.
But you just asked for a chicken lunch.
I don't have problem with the lunch. Afraid the container.
What is the problem with it?
These styrofoam containers, they don't good for the environment. They shorten with life.
What foolishness you telling me? So what you want me to use?
Put my food in this. Where you get that? At the food fair, where you could get all biodegradable food boxes and disposable food supplies like cups, plates, anything you could think about. Name it, it's there. And they don't harm the environment. Food fair, taking the lead in cleaning up and protecting the environment. Hey, like you take me advice, you get in your biodegradable food supplies.
Well, girl, I supporting who's supporting the environment. That is why I shop in at food fair.
Food fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets. Products distributed by Hubbard's agency, Kirani James Boulevard.
It's good to be early. It's good to be early. Pay your GRENADA bill on time.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Co-op Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank, and there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Welcome home.
Ready? There she is, folks. There she is. I think it's pink and black and white, and look at the necklace and all of that. And as for the other one, he's just wearing a blue jumpsuit. Folks, the lady you're looking at is Rachel Roberts, who happens to be the president of the Public Workers Union. Rachel has been with us time and time again. Always a pleasure to have her here. Rachel, thank you very much for joining us. And I'm going to start by asking you to tell me who this gentleman you picked up and brought here this morning is.
Good morning to the listening public. Listening, and is it viewing also?
Yeah.
We were not aware it was viewing.
You're on Facebook.
Okay.
And later on this afternoon, you're going to be on YouTube. And you're on 6 other platforms, a whole ton of people around the world listening to you. Things like TuneIn, Radio Genre, Radio Garden, Grenada Broadcast, they're all over the place. So who's the gentleman?
This is Dr. Marvin Corian.
Hello.
He is the president of the Junior Doctors Association.
Okay. The president of the Junior Doctors Association. Doc, so, okay, you're, let me call you this, a young whippersnapper. Huh? How about that? Young whippersnapper.
A whippersnapper.
Right. So you're a young man new to the profession. Doc, you sat down, I don't know where you were when the Prime Minister made his comments, but you were somewhere and you heard this. What went through your mind, young man?
Well, let me just first of all say a pleasant good morning to Grenadians at home and abroad. And for me, it's a pleasure to be here this morning to speak on this very current and burning issue here at home. I woke up Friday morning and I was happy to be alive, happy to be going back to work from a hard Thursday of work, and I got a WhatsApp message. I look at it and I sort of ignored it. Then I got the same WhatsApp message from another colleague, and I was like, what's this? This has to be something important, because I'm getting it twice. So I decided to open the link, and that link brought me to Facebook with a clip from that meeting on the 27th of September, town hall meeting in Brooklyn with our dear Prime Minister. And I looked at that clip and I felt as if I woke up in another dimension. I felt as if I woke up in some parallel universe somewhere else. I was so shocked that our Prime Minister, the leader of our country, a man of such stature, highly educated individual, would say such a thing about his employees in the health sector on such a platform. I was so shocked, and I proceeded to inform my colleagues, my other colleagues, of the derogatory statement that was made about us on that platform. So for me, I mean, I was very distraught, very shocked, very hurt, and my words were that I woke up heartbroken. Because for many years we've been talking about doctors are not staying, they're not giving it time, they've been leaving and so forth. We have doctors who graduate and do not give back. For many years we've been hearing this. Many years. And now the doctors who are there serving, giving back to our country willingly, some yes completing fulfilling a bond, but some giving back willingly, are there, and we are referred to as incompetent and thieves. I was broken. That's how I felt Friday morning. I was broken.
Demoralizing?
Demoralizing.
Yeah. Yeah. Rachel, you know, I understand that a request has been made for a retraction. I want to know where you stand with that. Are you going to insist? Because I haven't seen any indication. I mean, I have seen statements from both the Prime Minister and the Minister of Health. Not one of them, by the way, mentioned the thieving or the incompetence. They just talked about a lot of peripheral things, you know, but which I thought was really cute. But are you guys going to insist that there is a retraction?
The members of the Public Workers Union, as you have heard yourself from Dr. Corian, are very hurt, they are very aggrieved, and they feel really, really heartbroken about this situation. This situation negatively impacts their reputation. It negatively impacts their character. As nurses and doctors, you have a certain moral standing that you must live up to. Your ethical standards and values are even more above board than some of us ordinary citizens, because they have a moral standard that they must uphold, certain standards that the profession demands of them, and they must uphold those. And that was tarnished by the statements of our Prime Minister at that town hall meeting in Brooklyn, New York. The membership of the Public Workers Union stand firmly when they are calling on the Prime Minister to issue some apology, something that lets the doctors and nurses know that he is very sorry for what he really stated. Because the issue is that while we may believe that there are persons who are not doing the right things within the system, we know that we cannot generalize this statement. And the Public Workers Union would never uphold wrongdoing, and neither would the nursing or the medical practitioners. And therefore, we are saying that as a Prime Minister, when you make certain statements and you generalize and you put everyone into the same basket and paint them with the same brush, that is a problem. And we are saying to our Prime Minister, to the men and women who we know work hard, who we know go the extra mile, that must not be done. And these men and women are saying to the Prime Minister, we need you to say something to us that would enable us to be comfortable again, to feel that our profession is respected. Nurses, when they walk the streets of Grenada recently, have been heckled. Persons are teasing them. Persons are calling them thieves. Persons are stating how much meat you have in your bag. And that is a problem for us in our society, because these are the persons who sacrifice daily to help our sick persons, to help our patients, and they are the backbone of the healthcare system. And if we continue to do that, how would they be able to function effectively? They cannot work effectively if they have to concern themselves with whether or not a patient is going to abuse them. They would never be comfortable. They would be demoralized. They would not be able to work effectively.
Doesn't there seem to be some irony that this is happening at a time when the United Kingdom is trying to grab so many of our nurses? Let me hear you, Doc.
It's very ironic. It's very, very, very ironic. And it's sad. It is. I think it's very sad if that's some sort of strategy from our government to try to keep our nurses here. I think it's a low. I think it's very low. I think it's sad that instead of addressing the real issues why our nurses would be leaving, we will stoop so low and do something so tacky to try to keep our nurses here. Mm-hmm. I think, and with that statement, I would like to add that I think that our dear Minister of Health, I think he owes himself an apology for sitting there and allowing that statement to be made and agree by nodding his head. Mm-hmm. He owes himself an apology because he is also being seen as incompetent. For a statement like that to be made about his ministry, he should feel that, okay, am I incompetent? So he owes himself an apology. He owes the hard-working people in his ministry an apology. And they owe the nation, the health workers, an apology. We need that apology.
You know, again, some more irony. I sat here, I can't tell you how many times I've seen that videotape now. But something I noticed is that, if I'm not mistaken, the Minister of Health was sitting on the left of the Prime Minister. Okay? And the Prime Minister is mouthing off about the fact that the problem with the Ministry of Health is poor management. And the Minister of Health is sitting on your left, sir. Just turn left and say, hey, buddy, look, man, I mean, you're the man who heads up that ministry, you know. The onus is on you to smarten up. Wouldn't you have expected something like that probably to happen?
Well, of course, I think that would have been the logical thing to would have taken place. I mean, we're here, we're sitting, I'm managing. Management is responsible for the issues within any sort of organization. If there are any issues in any organization, the manager, administration is supposed to address those issues. So if we have issues that have been going on for years and they are not addressed for years in an organization, hypothetically speaking, then something has to be done with management. Something has to be done with management for years. If we have issues not being addressed for years, then management is responsible. I would think that after the first year or two, management would step in and say, okay, guys, we're having problems, and we need to address these problems. We need to sit down, we need to meet with the parties involved, and we will address those issues. Let's seek out who we need to seek out. Let's investigate what we need to investigate. Let's get to the bottom of these problems.
All right.
And address these problems.
Fair enough. Rachel?
Mr. Grant.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to go back to the question you raised concerning that it is being said at a time when our nurses are going out to take up employment in another country. You see, this statement can have damaging effect on nurses as they go to take up their appointment in a foreign country, because it would reduce the confidence in their employer, in their new employment greatly. It would even affect them there with patients who may have heard the statement and may not have confidence in them, knowing that they are Grenadians. Because a Grenadian does not lose his accent wherever he or she goes. You can be identified by that accent. And when they go out there, this can be very detrimental to them in any organization they find themselves. And our nurses going abroad to practice could also have challenges, because even in the Caribbean, nurses who are probably working in the Caribbean, having trained in Grenada, could also have challenges. So it has a multiplier effect, this statement. It is far-reaching. And the question is that the image you really want to set of your professionals, your citizens of your country? As a prime minister, you want to motivate, you want to make your people feel good, you want to care for your people. Is that caring statements to make? You are the father figure of the country, the entire nation, because you are the prime minister. And therefore you should set the example by the words that you say. And this is critical and important for us, that whatever we say must reflect us. And sometimes statements that we make reflect who we are and the character that we have. And those statements definitely did not reflect positive character. It does not demonstrate that these were statements that a leader would want to make in a public international forum. Because there is an old saying that you do not air your dirty linen in public. And we always try to obey our prime minister's words when he said to us, come to the table and speak about negative things that are affecting you. Do not go outside and speak of them first without coming and discussing it with us. And we have been trying to do that over and over again. So he himself have broken his promise to us as union. Because
all right. Rachel, listen. I like to look at things from both sides of the coin. And there's an old saying, Rachel and Doc, it's not what you do, but how you do it. You ever heard that? Huh? Okay. You know, I found it in the same way that I found irony in the statements made by the Prime Minister and the Health Minister. I also found it a little bit ironic that when I received two press releases, one from the TUC and one from TAU, okay? And both of them address this issue from one perspective. But nowhere, and I mean nowhere, in those releases was any reference made to being called thieves or incompetent. Okay? And I wondered whether or not that may be a sign of strength and possibly acknowledging that perhaps theft does in fact occur in the hospital. But not just in the hospital, Rachel. The Prime Minister himself has said this happens all over the public service. And on one of my programs this past week, I said, you know, forget about the public service. You go talk to any businessman out there, he'll tell you, people who run businesses in this place have a big issue with that happening.
And that is it, eh?
But hold on, Rachel. It's not just the public service and the private sector. Rachel, take a look, my dear. Go back and read the papers. Go back and watch the archive programs, and you will see how unaccountable, which is a form of theft, what has been happening in the halls of our administration. How many millions of dollars, your dollars, have just gone evaporated into thin air? No accountability, no explanation. When you're asked questions, people like me and them other reporters, they ask questions. Boy, you the bad guy. You the bad guy. Yeah? You know what I'm talking about, girl? Huh?
Good governance is a very important thing for the administration of any country. And there are certain things that must be upheld to ensure that good governance happens. You must have your proper laws, you must have your proper procedures, you must have your proper policies, and you must have your proper structures in place to ensure that good governance happens. And in our country, as a public officer, we have rules, we have regulations, we have laws that govern us as to how we must conduct our operations. And we are saying to our employer, while we know there may be persons who are thieving within the system, all over the system, there may be incompetencies all over the system. We have those procedures that must be utilized. And we are calling on our government to bring the evidence forth and let us ensure that we bring justice, we obtain justice. The persons are tried, if they have to be tried by the Public Service Commission, if it is bigger than the Public Service Commission, and they have to be tried through our court system, let the process happen. The PWU have always stated that we are a responsible union and we would never uphold wrongdoing. And while we understand what was said, we are stating get the facts, do the investigation, and let us bring this to settlement.
Rachel, there's somebody on the Rumble chat, the shout box, Tessa. Tessa has a question here for me, but I'm going to answer, and then I want both of you guys to answer yourself. She says, George, question. What if the Prime Minister is not sorry for making such a statement? Should he still retract? Well, Tessa, to answer your question, my friend, I would say whether or not he does would speak volumes about the gentleman's character in light of the public outcry that we have heard. And if you were just listening to Rachel here, she was also saying that, hey, we know this kind of thing happens. We're not denying it. So let me hear Rachel now.
I would want to say to my citizen, Tessa, my sister,
you know Tess?
That I'm not sure who is Tessa.
Tessa Barry.
But she is my sister because
Okay.
she is a Grenadian.
Okay.
And she's also a child of God. We are all sisters
Amen.
in that way.
Amen.
I would want to say to her that whether or not, let me retract what I'm saying, let me reframe it, rephrase it, that our Prime Minister demonstrating that he is sorry for what he has caused, the hurt and the pain, because he has caused great hurt and great pain. He has demoralized the health sector workers, and not just doctors or nurses. We have orderlies. We have the security persons who are also hurting. We have other members of staff who are also hurting because it implicates the entire health sector workers, all workers within the sector. Because while he may not have called the other names, the statements actually implied that there is some wrongdoing within the healthcare system. So Tessa, our Prime Minister actually saying that he is sorry and apologizing to the healthcare workers would demonstrate that he is a genuine Prime Minister who has the ability to be a humble person. He would demonstrate humility. It would demonstrate his caring nature and his ability as a human being, as a child of God, to say that he is asking for forgiveness for the statements that he made. It is not necessarily for him to say that he apologized to the people who are doing wrongdoing. He has to say that he apologizes to the men and women of this country who are not involved in any wrongdoing and who are upstanding persons, professionals within the organization, carrying out their work effectively, making sacrifice, going beyond the call of duty, giving yeoman service on a day-to-day basis. They go beyond. The things that the doctors and nurses have to accomplish with little or no resources is unimaginable. On a daily basis, doctors and nurses sometimes have to put their hands in their own pocket and take out monies to help patients, buy medicine, buy things that they may need. They even have to go to the community and maybe sometimes ask for clothing to support patients on the ward. They do a tremendous service to our healthcare system with little or no resources. And our healthcare system is in need of a lot of resources. That was an opportunity for our Prime Minister to get support from the diaspora, from our citizens out there in the country, from other persons out there in the diaspora. He has tarnished the reputation of the hospital, of the healthcare system, that persons may not want to feel inclined to give anything to us anymore. It has implicated all healthcare workers. So the picture that people have of healthcare workers out there is one of incompetence and thieves.
All right, I'll tell you what, we're going to take a little break here and come back.
So, babe, Alberto and Beryl come and gone, right? So that means we still have Chris, Debbie, Florence, Michael, Patty, Sarah.
From the looks of it, Tony and Valerie might be coming as well. So we need to pick up some extra hurricane supplies.
You don't know how many hurricanes will be coming this season, so you need to be prepared. At Hubbard's Hardware and Building Supply departments and Food Fair supermarkets, everything from canned foods, flashlights and batteries, to plywood, tarpaulin, lanterns, roof repair kits, water tanks, etc. are available. For over 90 years, we've helped you prepare for and recover from storms. Hubbard's is an integral part of your hurricane preparedness plan. Get discounts when using credit and debit cards.
Grenada Market has now introduced the Prime products to online shoppers in the UK via amazon.co.uk. Zeberpick, Nutmed, Wabande and Mobiback are now available, with more products being added gradually. These products are shipped across the UK and Europe free of charge for Amazon Prime members and backed by Amazon's reputable customer service. Avoid international shipping. Buy in your local area. Amazon.com in the USA, Amazon.ca in Canada, and Amazon.co.uk in UK and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the product.
Hi, I'm Gloria. My family and I travel all around the world, lighting up homes and businesses just like yours. And lately, we've been hearing a lot of talk about electricity.
Yes. Are my rates the highest in the world?
Your rate is definitely not the highest. Grenadians are paying a similar rate to some islands in the Caribbean, and in some cases, even less.
Grenadac, energizing our Grenada.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company, tell your friends, tell your family. We cover householders comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors all risk burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, directors liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you're waiting for.
We are located on Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Tell everybody.
Who are Dr. Corian. He's a doctor here, junior doctor at the General Hospital. And he's accompanied by Rachel Roberts, who is the president of the Public Workers Union. Doc, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I've been to the hospital on a number of occasions as a patient. And every time that I came out, the first thing I did was I came and I sat in this studio and I bigged up the people at the hospital for the care that I had been administered, okay? A lot of people took me to task for that because there are a lot of people who complain about conditions at the hospital. That's fine. I'm not saying that everything is really hunky-dory at the hospital, but what I'm saying is they took very good care of me. And therefore, I had an obligation to speak about that care that was extended to me, okay? The last time I was in there, which is the first week of this year, there was a situation where I supposedly had a heart attack. And they had to have a blood test done. No problem, they wanted to confirm that I did have a coronary. And I found that I had to find someone to come to the hospital and take the blood down to the clinic on the coronary. And I thought, hey, wait the cotton picking minute, you mother. You know? Okay? Now, for something like that to happen, to give somebody, a member of the public, somebody's blood to take for a test, there's something wrong there. But I imagine that has a lot to do with the lack of resources at your hospital. Tell me some of the reasons, tell me about some of that lack. And if you got some time, why is it that all these nurses are seeking greener pastures?
Well, I'm very happy you had a personal experience to share. Right, this makes my response easier, because the listeners are now aware, based on your experience, what's really going on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Grenadian doctors, Grenadian nurses, in some cases, I would like to say, in some cases, because of the fact that because of the lack we have, because we lack so much. When our dear Prime Minister speaks of being incompetent, because of the lack of technology, because of the lack of resources, in some cases we are more competent. In some cases, we are more competent with our hands than some of the developed countries. And I'm not trying to belittle, I'm not trying to take away from the technology that these countries have at all. On the contrary, we appreciate the fact that they have so much technology, but I'm just stating that we lack so much. We are so far behind as compared to these countries that we are left to use our hands. We are left to use our knowledge of anatomy to do certain things that is done with the use of an extension of the human being in those developed countries. For example, finding a vein in a premature baby, or in a very small, in a young child, in a neonate, a newborn. Sometimes, I mean, in the developed world, these people, they have equipment, ultrasound, special lights that they could just shine, and you see the vein through the skin and you go in. We don't have that. We don't have that. So when we talk about competence of the doctors and the nurses, I had a nurse recently that I was having difficulty finding a vein. And we had like two veins that we needed to find. I was having difficulty, and I said to the nurse, so try to get this one for me. I'll work on this one over here. And the nurse actually got her vein before I got mine. So when we talk about competence of our nurses and doctors, we are more competent in some cases than out there.
Yeah.
We lack so much. In your case with the heart attack, right? There, if we go to SGU, for those of you who go to the St. George's University and so forth, we will know that there's a piece of equipment called an AED, defibrillator, automatic external defibrillator. It's all over SGU. In the event that somebody is walking around, yes, there are a lot of young people there. The population is a young population, and it's probably unlikely that they will have a heart attack, but it does happen, right? There are defibrillators all over the campus to address such situations.
Mm.
An ideal situation, an ideal hospital would have defibrillators on every floor.
Yeah.
In an ideal world.
One of these days we'll get there. One of these days, I don't know whether or not you and I are going to be around long enough to see it, but All right, Rachel, we're starting to run out of time, but let me ask you this. What's your next step?
Before I go to my next step, let me just quickly say that one of the situations that you asked concerning the nurses that may be a factor in them leaving our shows and going to greener pastures is the fact that nurses, as well as doctors, persons who we call essential services, they are employed by a contract. These nurses and doctors do not have stable employment. Their stability of tenure is very weak. They are not established officers. And in many instances, there are vacant positions. For example, within the medical field, for doctors, there are vacancies because the hospital calls for 43 doctors, I believe, and there are only 31. 35 presently
31.
on staff. So there are vacancies that these doctors could be employed in. However, we ask the question, why is it you would want to keep such professionals on contract? And the more we think of it, we think of the fact that it is to eliminate the Public Service Commission so that control of these employees could be had by our employer. Because if the Public Service Commission appointment exists, they will have to be disciplined through that avenue. If it is the contract, the employer disciplines. And there are many other benefits that are non-existent for nurses and doctors. And when you look at the remuneration package that they would get in another country, while we understand that some of it is not possible here at home, we are saying that we can do better by these professionals. And we can offer them the type of appointments that would allow them to stay in Grenada. As we speak, we are planning a appreciation day for our healthcare workers to demonstrate that these persons make sacrifice and that they are important and valuable to the development of healthcare in our country. And on Saturday, the 13th at 4 p.m., we would have an appreciation ceremony at the Public Workers Union grounds. And we invite the general public to come out to that appreciation ceremony.
Okay. All right. Now, something I want to bring up. In the statement that was issued by the health minister, he said that he'd be willing to sit and talk with you guys. Yet, if I'm not mistaken, in one of the releases I saw it was either from TAU or PWU, reference was made to the fact that a letter had been sent to the minister requesting a meeting to sit and have a little tete-a-tete, and you guys had gotten no response or something?
But when you want to speak to the ministry, you don't write to the minister. You write to the permanent secretary, who is the head of the ministry, right? The policy person would be the minister, but the person who would have the day-to-day administrative responsibilities for the ministry is the permanent secretary. So you write first to the permanent secretary. If it's something bigger, the minister steps in. So we wrote the normal channel, the permanent secretary, and we were not able to get a meeting. And lo and behold, we were called to a meeting with all unions through the TUC. And we felt that that was grave disrespect to the union who represents the healthcare workers and who have been trying to speak on issues concerning the healthcare sector and was not being able to being given the opportunity, but was called into a setting with every union. And we felt that should be a setting for national issues, national healthcare issues. It should not be a setting where we would discuss things that were that were intimate to our membership.
Yeah. Okay. Parting words from you, Doc?
I would like to reiterate that if our Prime Minister really cares about his people, if he really cares about the current state of the health sector, if he cares about starting a new era in health tomorrow, Monday, during this week, upcoming week, I think he would apologize. I think it's on him. It should be on his conscience. Apologize to the people of the nation for misrepresenting the nation. Beautiful Isle of Spice, pure Grenada, with such a statement. When we expected him being a leader, the leader that he used to be. The previous speaker spoke of how he was impressed, and Dr. Mitchell has been impressing young people for years, has been impressing the nation for years, and it's evident that the nation has been somewhat impressed. But with a statement like this, he took away a lot from himself, and he took away a lot from the nation, because there was an opportunity to ask for help so that we could move forward. Instead, a statement was made to bring us back. So I think he should apologize. He should apologize.
Well, I don't know whether or not you guys saw the editorial, or at least the story in the New Today this week, and they were suggesting that perhaps you should make sure that you get an apology from the Prime Minister before accepting his invitation to. He says he's willing to talk with you guys, huh? Would you be willing to talk with him if he's not willing to apologize?
We are always willing and ready to speak to our Prime Minister. He is the head of our country. He is the person who has the power in our country. He is the person who determines decisions in our country. He determines the direction of our country. And we are always ready and willing to sit with him and discuss with him. As a matter of fact, we brought the letter personally to the Prime Minister and hand-delivered the request asking for the apology. And our Prime Minister since responded and categorically stated that he is not going to issue an apology because he knows his statement is the truth and there are persons doing thieving and incompetent within the system. However, we are going to say to our Prime Minister that if he is a leader who appreciates the hard work and the sacrifice of healthcare workers, he would understand the hurt that he has caused, how he has demoralized these workers, and that their reputation is placed on the line, and he would issue an apology to demonstrate that he is a leader of high standing ethical values and standards, and that he is a leader who the country can really be proud of.
There is a comment on Facebook here I want to share. Somebody named Patricia Wilson says, Rachel, I am proud of you. Thank you, George, for facilitating these two worthy, honorable citizens.
Thank
you. You guys are going to waltz out to here with crowns on your head today, aren't you? Huh? There's also... I suspect that the only reason why I'm only just seeing this is because of the delay on the internet. But Louise Nyack is saying the PM has a valid point. However, it was aired in an inappropriate setting. There is dishonesty and fraud right across the society in Grenada. We, the diaspora, have experienced this with relevance to monies and resources amassed and sent to support health care and other needs in Grenada. Good governance only works with accountability and responsibility. The onus is on public servants as well as management, MPs, PM, to apply the principles and ethics of good governance in the workforce, be it public, private, or otherwise. We need to clean up our act because it is having a negative effect on the entire characteristic of Grenada nationally and internationally. Mickelman Alexander says, "What the thing, a leader who is uncaring?" This guy has a warped sense of humor, let me tell you, okay? Desiree Gwinnett says, Mitchell feels that the health professionals will forget his statement. There is a saying, Grenadians just make noise for a few days and then they forget. Keep this issue alive till he comes forward and apologizes. He feels that with full 15, he can do as he pleases. Grenadians, open up your eyes. Too late shall be your cries when we sit and say nothing. John Grant says, you all know the PM don't care about us. Louise Nyack Francois says, recently was an inpatient at the General Hospital. I too have to purchase many items. Staff did their best. However, from experience, what is lacking is patient-centeredness and a bit more love for the patients. Whether there are resources or not, it is really about sympathy and loving touch in manner, attitude, and basic humanity. Okay. And finally, Pearl Augustine says, magician, doctors, and nurses. You guys perform miracles out there, aren't you? Okay, guys, yeah, time's up. We got to run. Thank you so much, Rachel, and thank you so much, Dr. Corian. Please give my regards to your staff at the hospital. You got good people working in there, good people. And they deserve better. But not just you guys in the hospital, people working in the public service, period. People in the private sector, like moi, I need better attention too. Hey. Folks, we are going to take a little break here right now, and we're going to come back and wrap it up.
It's good to be early. It's good to be early. Pay your GRENADA bill on time.
Grenada Market has now introduced the Prime products to online shoppers in the UK via amazon.co.uk. Zeberpick, Nutmeg, Wabande and Mobiback are now available, with more products being added gradually. These products are shipped across the UK and Europe free of charge for Amazon Prime members and backed by Amazon's reputable customer service. Avoid international shipping. Buy in your local area. Amazon.com in the USA, Amazon.ca in Canada, and Amazon.co.uk in UK and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
So, babe, Alberto and Beryl come and gone, right? So that means we still have Chris, Debbie, Florence, Michael, Patty, Sarah.
From the looks of it, Tony and Valerie might be coming as well. So we need to pick up some extra hurricane supplies.
You don't know how many hurricanes will be coming this season, so you need to be prepared. At Hubbard's Hardware and Building Supply Departments and Food Fair Supermarkets, everything from canned foods, flashlights and batteries, to plywood, tarpaulin, lanterns, roof repair kits, water tanks, etc. are available. For over 90 years, we've helped you prepare for and recover from storms. Hubbard's is an integral part of your hurricane preparedness plan. Get discounts when using credit and debit cards.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Co-op Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank. And there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Alrighty, folks. This is where we're going to pull the curtain down on the 7th of October edition of Sundays with George Grant. I do appreciate the fact that you did spend some time with me this morning. One parting comment here I see on the shout box this morning from We Will Rise. Don't you just love the names these people come up with? We Will Rise. He says we need to send some bandwidth your way, George. We Will Rise. God bless you for recognizing that. I certainly hope that my plea this morning did not fall on deaf ears. We really, really need to address this problem, and I'm certain that somebody out there has heard and will come to our assistance. We really do appreciate it. There's a donate button on the menu at the top of our homepage, GRENADABROADCAST.com. I even understand this morning that there's so many people going to the site that there are a lot of people who have not been able to get on the site this morning. Well, we're obviously offering something good, okay? So please, come to our assistance. Now, let me have one closing scripture for you, as we do every Sunday morning. This one comes from the book of Acts, Acts chapter 2, verses 25 to 28. I saw the Lord always before me. Because he is at my right hand, I will not be shaken. Therefore, my heart is glad, and my tongue rejoices. My body also will rest in hope, because you will not abandon me to the realm of the dead. You will not let your Holy One see decay. You have made known to me the paths of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence. Acts chapter 2, 25 to 28. Pilgrims, this program is going to be up on Facebook. Yeah, it's going to be up there in a few minutes as soon as the bandwidth opens up enough to accommodate it. And later on today, it's also going to be on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me. I do wish you and yours a really fabulous Sunday afternoon. Join me tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock for the next edition of Good Day, Grenada. God bless you.